And we'll go tick, 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 tick. Let us know.
Yes, the recording is rolling.
Okay. It's now time to call on our Sergeant of Arms to open this evening meeting, the February 15th meeting of online presenters.
Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. This meeting of online presenters has now begun. Guests, please note that in order to be a member of our club, you must be a current or a former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 speeches from either the traditional or pathways programs, or you must have substantial relevant presentation experience that you demonstrate in 3 to 5 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to board approval. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure it shows your name and role if you have one. Right-click and select Rename to do so. We have members and often guests from many countries throughout the world. Thus, other professional organizations, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we will be recording this meeting. Your video audio contributions may be used for our club marketing purposes. Please mute your microphone when you are not speaking. Also, please avoid using chat during speakers' presentations. And today's theme of the evening, getting things done. Please welcome our presiding officer of the evening, VP Public Relations, Elaine Nieberden.
Good day, my fellow Toastmasters, online presenters, guests, and of course, replay viewers. If you have made it your way here, then somehow something has been attractive about this group to you. For those of us who come regularly, who show up nearly every week, there is love in the air, there's fun, there's excitement, we feel like family. But also, if you've made it here, you've made a good decision. You've made good use of your time. And I'm recognizing the theme of the day that our Toastmaster of the day, Marianne Grady, has selected for us. If you're watching, then you also know Online Presenters is all about improving our online presentation skills. We do all kinds of things to enrich the experience of viewers and audience members alike. And it will be interesting, since this is a speak-a-thon evening, what our speakers might include in their presentations. At this time, I would like to turn the meeting over to our Toastmaster of the day, the illustrious Marianne Grady, my partner in crime in public relations for online presenters. Let's give her a warm welcome.
Why, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Welcome to the Speak-a-thon. What is a Speak-a-thon, you ask? It's a meeting where we eliminate some of our usual roles and make room for a couple more speeches in the night. So tonight we're going to have 5 speeches and 5 evaluators. The other role players that we will have tonight are a general evaluator who will be done at night. And I'm so happy because she stepped in at the last minute and made my life easy. And we will also have a timer to make sure that everyone is adhering to their time allotments, and that will be Treasurer and Founding President David Carr, and a vote counter so that you can vote for your favorite speaker and evaluator. And tonight that will be Elaine Nieberden, our Vice President of Public Relations. Now tonight I've selected a theme of getting things done and a word of the day, which is accomplished, and I put them in the chat so you can check them out. But as high performers, getting things done is important. And at the last minute, we had a speaker drop. So what I did was, throughout the course of tonight's meeting, I'm going to give some tips to help you get more done. High performers always need those little hacks. So first tip of the day. Wake up an hour earlier. And I know that sounds terrible to a lot of us. And if you're not a morning person, especially, but it is reported that people who do this are more productive, more successful, and generally more optimistic. So don't hit the snooze button. Our first speaker of the day is Elizanne Russell. And her speech will be evaluated by Graham. Elizanne thinks things are better in pairs. As she assessed her own leadership style, she identified some double trouble and double fun. She's going to tell you a little more about it in her speech tonight. Double the trouble, double the fun. Please welcome Elizanne Warren Russell with her Leadership Development Level 2 speech. Elizanne.
Hello, everyone. Double the trouble and double the fun. Doesn't that sound exciting? As I accomplished one of my Toastmasters goals in finding out my leadership style, I found this. Can you see the double digits? Oh my goodness, double the trouble and double the fun. I'm so excited. So the first double that I found is that I have an affiliative leadership style. And this style allowed me the opportunity to be able to be objective and cohesive in keeping my team together. Another thing I found was that in this leadership style, I am always engaging in collaboration, and I'm a visionary as well. Double the trouble. If I looked at the next one, which is coaching, a lot of the things that are in the affiliative is also in the coaching style. So they work cohesively together. The next is the democratic leadership style. And this one has a little bit of a twist to it, because while I am good at bringing people together, it all depends on the team and how they work alongside with me if we can actually get it done. The third one is authoritative. So as I look at my leadership style, I thought about parents who had twin kids. How many of you have twin children? Oh my goodness, Marianne does. Twin children can be so much fun, but in speaking to a couple of them, I know they can be very much interesting in the shenanigans that they get together with. They play their teachers by switching roles at times, or even at times they would play their parents by switching roles. But moms always know their children, regardless of which one they switch and try to pretend to be. So as a leader, as in getting my team together, I have learned how to be able to bring them in a place where they get things done. And in getting things done, I must be able to identify their styles of learning, as well as their ability to cohesively work with others. So in that, I have found that there are some people that are good working by themselves. And those individuals, I will give tasks that they don't need anybody to help them with. And those people are normally those that are runners. They are able to take something up and they will run and get it accomplished on time and on target. But there are those that are procrastinators, those who would take their time and leave things for the last minute. How many of us had those members work with us? Leave everything for the last minute, and then sometimes, oh, wait a minute, I forgot. oh my goodness, I didn't realize that you needed it for that particular day. So in order to help those people along the way, I always give them the assignment to be completed a day or two ahead of when I need it. So this way, when I get in touch with them and they say they don't have it, listen, you have 24 hours to get it to me. So for me, it's still on time, but for them, it is late. That's the one way that I try to keep individuals on time. Also, making sure that I have visual information in front of them. So there's some place that they can look and find it easily, that they can keep it in front of them and know where their deadlines are. Most importantly, for every one of us as leaders, we must also know the leadership styles of others. And sometimes it takes us as leaders having them do some additional training, one, or a test, an assessment test, to find out their style of working. Sometimes people are willing to do it and sometimes they're not, because a lot of them require some information that deals with their psychological mindset and their well-being. So sometimes you are not able to get some individuals to help out by doing these surveys and assessments. As a leader, I've found that I'm able to encourage people and support them in a manner in which they're able to grow and come out of the box. Because sometimes we get a little bit comfortable in wherever we are. And someone with an affiliative leadership style is able to push people beyond their comfort zone to a place where they didn't know that they can accomplish, but they're able to because of the support that they receive from their leader. Double the trouble, double the fun. As much as I enjoyed knowing my leadership style, it left me a little bit on the disturbing. And why would it be a little bit on the disturbing? And because I realized that a lot of times people say to me, you push us too hard. And I realized that, yes, I do sometimes push people too hard because I push myself hard. And because of that, sometimes it's not good for everyone. So double the trouble in the fact that I'm not able sometimes to pull away from pushing people too far. Double the fun for those who don't mind, that they enjoy being pushed to the next level, accomplishing the goal and getting things done. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
You're making it all happen, Elizanne. You're accomplishing and getting it done. Double the trouble and double the fun. I like it. Our next tip of the night is to eat that frog. Now, Brian Tracy wrote a book with that title, and it's to help people overcome procrastination. And what the frog is the biggest, hardest, ugliest task that you have on your to-do list for the day. And if you do it first thing, then the rest of your day is easy breezy. So everybody, eat that frog. And now the second speaker of the day will be Tricia Smith. Tricia says that we are all part of the environment. Our world has a natural carbon cycle process that is vital to sustaining life. This story starts with the carbon cycle, how it originated as the true history of natural environmentalism. The story continues with significant historians that cared for our planet and promotes a call to action to make this daily lifestyle priority for everyone. Now, timer, I would like to remind you that her timing is a little different than everybody. Green at 6, yellow at 7, red at 8. And please welcome Tricia Smith with her presentation mastery level 3 speech, Let Me Tell You a Story.
Can I please make a disclaimer before the timer starts? I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to actually be reading a poem that I wrote to share the story about the carbon on the move and the environmental history. So I just wanted to let you know I will be reading off of my screen that I'm sharing. I'm ready. Let me tell you a story, Carbon on the Move. It's based on the carbon cycle. Carbon on the move, on the move, on the move. Carbon on the move today. The carbon cycle story is the original natural environmental process that continues daily. It has historical relevance and must continue to be sustained. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, friends, and guests. I am going to be reading my poem that I created and wrote, and it's going to be to the tune of Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. What is the one chemical element that connects all living creatures and things to our planet, you ask? Let me give you some background so you will be aware of the characteristics of carbon. It's everywhere. It's a non-metallic element widely used in nature, and at room temperature, it stays solid. It forms more compounds than any other elements combined. Did you know? Coal is a form of carbon used as a fuel, and 20% of our body is carbon for sure. Now, get ready to hear about a daily phenomenon. This is nature's story. This is a story about the carbon cycle that takes place everywhere. The carbon cycle is a full circle process that is natural. Carbon is in humans, plants, and animals, and the soil. We need sunshine, soil, water, and air to survive and to complete the carbon cycle. What is this cycle, you say? Animals eat plant food that combines with oxygen to produce energy. The energy is used up by byproducts and eliminated and turned back into the soil. The carbon combines with oxygen that forms carbon dioxide and released back into the atmosphere. Do you breathe? Yes, we all do. That's respiration. We breathe in oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide. The plants give off carbon dioxide and give off oxygen for us to breathe. The carbon process. When an animal dies, the carbon in their body goes back into the soil. Look at all the creatures and rocks everywhere. There are rocks formed from compressed, decompressed plants and that form peat. Peat settles in swamps, so you don't want to choose with peat sediment. Then the coal is used for our fuel that releases carbon dioxide in the air. And this is the carbon cycle I told you about. Process of decomposition and sedimentation. The carbon cycle. It's everywhere in our environment. Now, let's talk about the people you would have met way back in history, known as hunters and gatherers, who used fire and hunting tools, and they knew that it would impact their environment. History tells of early humans who considered the wilderness sacred and reserved, with obligation to care for our natural world. At one time, there was Plato, a Greek philosopher, who recognized how deforestation led to soil erosion and had a negative impact. There were places then, like China, India, and Peru, where soil erosion was prevented with agricultural practices by guess who? And all of these areas were well cared for by all. Then the more things that started to happen, don't worry, don't stew. Just take action today to save our air, water, and planet by living environmentally so the carbon cycle keeps happening too. Oh, there were times of great plagues and famines and disease. From the 16th to 18th century, there was the London fog and smog due to coal burning logs. This led to the start of the environmental rights movement. So let's move along. Just think, can you remember the writers, scientists, and philosophers worth listening to? In 1800, there were animal rights activists, ecologists, and naturalists worth knowing. They were Jeremy Bentham, Thomas Malthus, Jean-Baptiste Fourier, and Ralph Waldo Emerson, William Bartram, James Audubon, and Henry David Thoreau. All were well known. The Sierra Club was started by John Muir, and ecosystems awareness shared by Aldo Leopold. Oh, did you know that India was the first country to promote saving the trees? They started a great movement to the whole gang and soon took the lead. In the 1900s, there was the best of the best. Great leaders like Alice Hamilton, a chemist, Bertrand Russell, and Rachel Carson, who helped ban leaded gasoline, push for anti-nuclear movement, developed the Clean Air Act and ecology. So they were on top of all the rest. Greenpeace and other organizations were established in 1969 on to expand the green movement and ecology platform to show the world how much they care. So why should you care? Why should I? because our actions and lifestyle can heal or destroy the nature created for us to enjoy. I'm so sorry to say so, but sadly it's true that our actions have caused the earth's bang-ups and hang-ups, and our actions can undo the damage we created. So the earth is a happy and healthy place to live for our future and everyone's sake. You can get all hung up on a prickly perch and the gang will fly on. You'll be left in a lurch. Because if we all take action now and for the rest of our lives, we will save our dear planet for all to survive. We have come to a place where the path is clearly marked. Some doors are open and others are not, but mostly we just need some place to start. A place to start is right in your own home. So let's begin. Do you dare say out? Do you dare go in? How much can you lose? How much can you win? For people are just waiting for time to go by slow, or waiting for a plant to grow, or for a friend to take them by the hand, or for the phone to ring, or the snow to snow, or waiting for a yes or a no, or waiting for someone else to take action. Oh no, everyone is just waiting. With our hands raised high, once more our days will go by, ready for anything under the sky, because we're in this all together, and that's something you can't buy, except if we don't act. We can't take our actions back. You're never alone, whether you like it or not. We can all do something, except not act. And on we will move, and we will move far and face up to our problems wherever they are. We will take action to make healing our planet a priority, of course. As we already know, climate change is real. So don't disregard the need to take action to prevent damage from pollution, desertification, or soil erosion as you go. So be sure when you act with great care and great tact. And remember that life's a great balancing act. And never forget to be swift and decisive, and never mix up doing what's right to eliminate our self-made crisis. And you will succeed. Yes, you will indeed. 98.75% guaranteed. We will move mountains together. So whatever your name is or time of the day, we are off to a better future to make our planet great again with beautiful places. Today is my day. Today is your day. Our mountain is waiting for action. So let's be on our way. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Got a lot of things for us to think about. And a lot of changes that do need to be made. So thank you for that, Tricia. Now our next tip is from our third speaker. Lieceng likes to divide her days for different tasks. Monday and Friday are for teaching and related tasks. And Tuesday and Thursday are for research. Friday is for meetings and catching up. This system allows her to accomplish her goals in a timely manner. Now, speaker 3, Lieceng says, what is mentoring? Why is it important? In this speech, she will share a few lessons that she's learned about mentoring. Her speech tonight is Presentation Mastery, Level 2, Learning Your Style, Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring. Please put your hands together for Lieceng.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. 2 weeks ago, a friend of mine who is an entomologist posted a statement in a social media that he observed the 2 insects are doing the exact same thing during the same time, the same space. And he was wondering what was happening. And I responded back jokingly, those insects must be mentor and mentee. They're doing mentoring. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and the most welcomed guests. In today's speech, I'm supposed to share my experience as a protege and discuss about the impact and significance of having a mentor. I have had many mentors, officially or unofficially, who have helped me tremendously in accomplishing what I have accomplished today and who I have become as an educator, scientist, professor, and most important of all, an individual with a strong sense of responsibility and individuality. Along the way, I have learned 3 lessons today I would like to share with you about mentoring from my own experience. Lesson 1, mentoring is role modeling. Good mentors show, not only tell what to do or what not to do to their mentees, or how things need to be done. Because we human, we learn best by observing and mimicking each other's behavior. That is why so many behaviors run through family generation by generation, like violence, like alcoholism, drug, or the love of music, sports, or even speech. Because our parents are our first mentors. How they behave, their value, how do they deal with situation, handling of specific people, or parenting have profound impact on us, on who we will become. My parents are kind, generous, and hardworking people. That is who I have become, and that's who my children are. My father, he's a perfectionist. He was strict and even harsh to me. And I have been strict and harsh to myself all through my life and to my children. I'm my father's daughter, and apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Lesson 2, mentoring is a two-way street. It's both giving and receiving. When I was a PhD student at Kansas State University, my advisors often told me that he learned something from me. Likewise, when I became a professor, when I started mentor students and later on junior faculty, each and every day, I felt that I learned a great deal from the people I was mentoring. More importantly, mentoring to me never felt like a burden or a work I have to do. Rather, it's an opportunity for me to help others and to learn from them. Lesson 3, mentoring is learning from each other. Mentoring does not have to be formal. Mentoring exists wherever and whenever learning exists. As a professor, I have learned a great deal from my colleagues who share the same experience with me of instructing the student of underprivileged population. We have had numerous discussions about issues facing us daily, like how much help we should give to our students, or how much leniency we should give a student, or how do we accommodate students with serious medical condition or even learning disability, etc., etc. During the discussion, we often feel that new ideas and solutions, new insight bubbling up, and more importantly, through discussion, we found understanding, comfort, support, and encourage from each other. To summarize, mentoring is one of the most invaluable experiences. Through mentoring, we learn from each other, we help each other, we establish bond between each other, and we enhance each other. For Toastmasters, mentoring is do what I do and also do what I say, since we are a speech club. During the past 10 months, I have learned a great deal from every one of you by observing how you conduct yourself, deliver research, and serving in different roles. In that sense, you are all my mentors. And I hope in the future, I would have the opportunity to giving back to our community by serving as a mentor when the time comes. Madam Toastmaster.
Well, Lieceng, we also learned a lot from you, and your speech tonight was wonderful. Thank you for that. Now, my next tip, you might not like it, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. It's exercise in the morning. This habit is linked to a better mood and higher productivity, in addition to all the health benefits. So I know it's easier said than done, but maybe you should give it a try. Tonight, our fourth speaker is Asil Boisinova. And Assyl is giving her virtual communication level 3, increasing knowledge, know your sense of humor. She's asks us, are you giving up doing something? Recalculate yourself and stay focused. Please welcome Asil Boisinova with her speech, Recalculation. Asil.
Pam, Pam, is the person in front dead? Hey, you, learn to use your indicators. There were heated expressions between drivers on the road of big, busy Almaty city. They honked their horns, drove dangerously. I was sitting in the back seat, feeling uncomfortable and thinking I would never drive a car. But 12 years ago, in 2009, we moved to America because of my husband's job assignment. Fellow Toastmasters and dear guests, imagine this cute little town in Alabama called Mobile. I really loved it there. Azaleas blooming in Bellingrath Gardens, my daughter's school, my first Toastmasters club, and very, very friendly and polite people. Everything was perfect, except the town didn't have pedestrian path to walk on, and the public transportation wasn't well developed in the area we lived in. I had to learn to drive a car because I had to drive to most places in the town, most important places like malls. Otherwise, how was I supposed to do my main job, spending my husband's money on shopping? Did I tell you that people were very polite there? Even their car seems to be polite. Ma'am, sir. Although the town was safe to drive in, I was still very scared. My heart was pounding. My hands and neck were stiff, and I couldn't turn my head for a shoulder checkup. Sometimes, when big trucks were passing, I wanted to close my eyes with my hands. Oh! Then eventually, I became a confident driver. In 2013, my driving experience continued in Western Australia when we moved to Perth for another job assignment. When I drove, I always put the GPS on. I put it on even if I already knew directions. It had the options to have a female or male voice. The male voice sounded rich and sexy. It was very distracting. So I chose the female option. One day, my friend, Miss Robin, asked me to give her a ride to visit her mother. My daughter was sitting in the back seat. My friend was sitting next to me. And she told me that I should keep driving straight on the highway for some time. I turned the GPS on as background noise, as usual. In about 10 minutes, the GPS said, keep left and take the exit. Sorry, I was told that I can still drive straight, I said to the GPS. And the GPS said, recalculation. In a few minutes, it said, keep left and take the exit. And I said, I don't want to take the exit. While we were on the highway, I kept arguing with the GPS. My daughter and my friend laughed so hard listening to us. Do you know what I realized from that experience with my GPS? I learned that even when I made a wrong turn, the GPS would find another way to get me to my destination. We all have something we want to accomplish in our lives. Sometimes we feel like there are some obstacles in our way. We get impatient, frustrated, and unmotivated. Maybe we can be like a GPS and say to ourselves that magic word, recalculation, and try to find some way to stay focused. We can always ask for help, have a mentor, get inspired by stories our fellow Toastmasters share with us, and step by step, we will get to our destination. I have had some barriers in my Toastmasters journey, like a language barrier, a fear of communication. Sometimes I felt like I wanted to give up. But slowly and steadily, I have become better because I have lots of wonderful GPSs at Toastmasters with male and female options. 5 years ago, we came back to my home country. The driving culture has improved a lot. Less shouting, more respect for safety rules. But do I drive a car? No, I don't need to, because I live within walking distance of the biggest mall in the city. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Oh, Asil, that was terrific. And I have to say, I've not even been here for an entire year, but I have watched your abilities and your confidence just go, go, go. So continue and don't ever get discouraged. You bring us such great energy. Thank you. Now, this tip is going to be hard for some of you. It's say no. A lot of us, because we're the kind of people who get things done, a lot of people keep giving us more things to do. And we get bogged down and sometimes overwhelmed. But what we need to do is understand that sometimes little words are the hardest ones to say. We have to manage people's expectations of us. And the way we do it is if we are unable to commit 100% to something, we need to say no. It takes a little practice, and sometimes you might not feel good saying no to somebody, but it's better than not delivering the goods at the end of the day. So it sets the right expectations, it sets boundaries on your own time, and you will get more things done if you are able to say no to things. Now, our final speaker of the night is Angela Heath. Angela, her goal tonight is to deliver a 5 to 7 minute speech at the meeting to share about her leadership style. Please welcome Angela with her speech, A Different View of Leadership. Put your hands together for Angela Heath.
I must admit, I have a secret to share. Well, I guess if I'm sharing it, it's not a secret, but it's an embarrassment. So I was supposed to figure out what my leadership style is by completing the assessment in the Toastmasters book. Well, I must not be a good leader because as I was doing it, I started to get bored. I felt like it was too long. And so honestly, I did it, but I can't believe the results. You see, because when I was looking at it, what I saw is that it was built on this premise of doing things. It gave us all of these great things to do, and then you became a leader. Well, that's not the way I think of leadership. In fact, I kind of turned the whole thing up on its head. And so the way I think of leadership is not do, then become a leader, but it really is about becoming a leader first. See, I believe that everything starts with how we see ourselves, who we are at the very core, that big decision inside of us that says, I will be a leader. We have to decide to be a leader. And then we have to believe that we are. And out of that comes the actions that highlight leadership. That's when we begin to do. We do the things, we plan, we give instruction, we support our team, we do all of those things. But if we don't become first, then what we do and what we say is not going to be on a firm foundation. I'm sure many of you have seen this. Somebody who goes along really well, a manager, and then all of a sudden something comes out of their mouth that is just crazy. And you wonder, how is that possible? I believe it happens because they skipped the B. They didn't become a leader. So they weren't able to say the things that would provide the inspiration and encouragement to their team. And if you can say it, then that next step is to be able to teach it. And how many of you guys know leaders who can't teach? This comes reflective as mentorship and giving instructions so that we can meet our metrics. A good leader has to teach, and it grows out of being a leader, doing the things that leaders do, saying it, teaching it, and then finally being able to replicate it. So coming up with a standardization so that we can multiply the impact of our team. So I just look at leadership a little bit different. So it was challenging for me to complete the assessment. Now, one other thing I want you guys to consider is that in the center of leadership, it goes from who we are to what we do, to what we say, to how we teach, and how we replicate. That's what leadership is all about. And that plumb line there in the middle, it connects everything together. And so when I was doing the assessment, it seemed to focus so much on the doing. I said, oh my gosh, I think we need to take a step back and deal with the mindset, because everything in life begins with mindset. So how would we develop a leadership mindset? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. I'm going to give you just a couple thoughts about how that might be able to be done. Number one is simply the decision. We decide that we want to be a great leader. Now, how many of you have actually made that decision? I've decided I wanted to be a great mom. I decided that I wanted to be a great expert, but I didn't ever really decide to be a great leader until much later in my life. So if we start with that decision and we train people about that mindset and that decision early, I think we'll have much better leaders as they grow into what they do. I think the second part of that is to receive the feedback from the people we're leading. If we don't listen to our team, we won't know that we're doing the wrong thing, we're saying the wrong thing. And so we are replicating something in our leadership that we really don't want. So we must listen to our team and we must build trust so that our team feels comfortable being honest with us and to really let us know when we're not acting like leaders. So guys, I'm sorry. This is not exactly the speech it was meant to be, but this is how I see leadership. And when I looked at my own framework for it, guess what? I realized that we need to revisit and revisit being a leader before we do, before we say, before we teach, and before we replicate. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Angela. Everybody has a different journey when it comes to leadership, right? All right, now timer. Have all of our speakers qualified this evening?
Yes, everybody kept it in the green or the yellow. I am posting the times. I'm sorry I didn't get to bring in Animal, but next time.
Okay, well, thank you, sir. And I will ask you at this time to please vote for your favorite speaker this evening and send your vote in the private chat to our vote counter, Elaine Nieberden. And now we are moving on to the evaluation portion of the meeting. And as I mentioned earlier, I feel very lucky to have Donna Knight here tonight because she was originally scheduled to be the timer and we were short on role players tonight and she took this big role and I am so grateful. Donna?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmasters. Good evening. We have just feasted and accomplished quite a bit of feat this evening. And right now in getting things done, we're going to ask our evaluators to put the icing on the cake. We're going to start with Distinguished Toastmaster Darling, and we're going to flow right through to all the other Toastmasters so that we can maximize on time. Evaluator, starting with Distinguished Toastmaster Graham, please start and tag the others evaluator.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. I'd like to present an evaluation, of course, not just for Elizanne, but for everybody. And I want to point out what a great, effective presentation this was that Elizanne gave tonight, especially for those of us who are here because we want to learn online presentation skills. She made really good eye contact with us all, even when she was referring to her notes. She had great vocal variety and it worked beautifully, and some really good basic gestures. Psychological mindset, think outside of the box. All of those were really well done. I also really enjoyed the double the trouble, double the fun. I thought that was a great way of discussing the results of this project, because this project can be, well, let's just say a little dour. Having said that, anyone who has not done or seen this project probably thought, what are the figures she's quoting from here? Where do they come from? Always assume that your audience needs to have the basis explained. If they don't, then you've only wasted 30 seconds of their time. But if they do need the explanation, then if you don't explain it, then you waste 2 or 3 minutes while they try and work out what's going on here. You had a minute to spare. You could have used that so that everybody was starting on the same page, Elizanne. I like the fact that Elizanne pointed to the downside of her perceived leadership style. But what I would like to have heard is how you might modify that style to work more effectively with other members of your teams, because part of this project is not just for us to learn our leadership style, but to learn from what we learn and how we can more effectively work with our teams. But for me, the highlight of the presentation was Elizanne's exuberance. We were carried along by her nearly frenetic enthusiasm. So, good use of the medium in an enthusiastic, effective presentation. But you need to outline the basics unless you are certain that your audience already knows them. When discussing the downside of your findings, not just in this speech, but in any presentation that you're making, if you're discussing downsides, discuss how those shortcomings can be addressed. And above all else, Elizanne, maintain your bubbly enthusiasm. It makes you a genuine pleasure to listen to. Our second evaluator, I believe, is Richard Darling. So Richard, I'll hand control to you.
Thank you very much, Graham. And good evening, fellow online presenters, and especially Tricia Smith. Let's listen in as I give Tricia some ideas and some feedback on her speech. First up, Tricia, I think it's absolutely outstanding that you wrote your own poem and you used that as the construct to tell us a story. I think that's absolutely outstanding. You used a number of good gestures, but I'm going to come back to that because it's something I want to offer up in that space. A couple of things, in fact. You had some great facial expressions in spite of being focused on reading the slides on your own machine. I have to say that overall, it was fun to listen to this. You had a lot of really good words mixed throughout that entire poem. And I always look for words because they really bring a lot to speeches. Now, here's a couple of things I want to offer up. First and foremost is gestures. Gestures really make a difference. And you did use gestures, but unfortunately, we couldn't see all of them. I know there was some going down below the screen. So a simple solution to that is to actually stand up if you have the ability to do that, to be able to step back a little bit from the camera so that we can actually see more of your gestures. If you use your gestures up here, that's okay, but I think you'll find standing gives you two things. One, it will help those gestures be a lot more natural, and two, it really brings more energy to any speech if you can stand. I will also offer up that using gestures and the energy really does help with any speech. Now, energy was throughout the speech, but I felt the pace was a little bit too fast. And that mixed with the fact that I was looking at and doing what every audience on the planet will try to do, which is you give me text on a screen and I'm going to try to read it. Well, I couldn't. So I actually minimized that screen to the point where I could only focus on you. And I think you would find if you didn't even bother to share your screen in that situation, you might find that that's a better solution and will give you better results in terms of keeping everybody's attention. It's something to give some consideration to because I think that's something that will help you. Let's go back to pace briefly. I'm jumping around a little bit. I apologize for that. But pace, I think if you had asked for just a little bit more time, you would have had a little more time to get that all in. I really felt you were a little bit rushed. Having said all of those things, again, I want to stress a lot of really great things. Good facial. You had a lot of good gestures, a lot of great words that you used. The structure of it was quite interesting to tie it back to a Dr. Seuss. All in all, a very good speech with a couple of ideas for you to consider in the future. Thank you very much. I think our next evaluator is Jeanette Francois.
Yes, thank you, fellow Toastmasters, and especially you, Lieceng, for your great speech. I found that, first of all, that the structure of your speech was textbook, okay? You started with an intro, you did your salutations, and then after you went right to the subjects that you were going to develop, and you did that beautifully. And what I also enjoyed, it's like you followed all the aspects of the structure of your speech, and it was very, very well done. And as far as your gestures, I think that you could have done a little bit more gestures. You did about 2 or 3 of them. I saw your hands, but I thought that probably you could have brought a little bit more emotions when you were talking about your parents, you know, that they were your first mentors. And I find that maybe you could have added a little bit more emotion so that we could really relate to you. But otherwise, it was well done. And you had a way of talking like a professor talking to us. It was like, almost like a tone of conversation, but maybe that's what stopped you from being too emotional, more emotional, to bring more emotion in your speech. But what I would suggest to you is that for you to be able to add all those elements that I'm suggesting, it's probably like you could have started with a story. Talk about your experience as being a mentee to your parents. How were you? I was very interested. I would have been a lot more interested in knowing, because you were talking about the behaviors, what kind of behaviors you had so that I can learn from you. I think those kinds of speeches, like talking about mentorship and it's a giving or two-way street, I think you could have brought something that came from you instead of telling us what a mentor was and the lessons that you learned. You could have gone a little bit further in your speech. But otherwise, it was a great speech. You were calm, cool, and collected. I would have expected you to be a little bit more, bring more emotion to the speech, and also a little bit more gestures. But otherwise, you did a very good speech, and that's what I suggest to you. Next time, more emotions, bring more of a story that we can learn from, and a little bit more gestures at the same time. So thank you, Lieceng, for your wonderful speech. Back to you, evaluator number 4.
Thank you very much. Asil, fellow Toastmasters, you would agree with me. What a wonderful, humorous, powerful, genuine, amazing speech. I really enjoyed it and I had a laugh. Didn't we all laughed with Asil's story? Those powerful, natural way of communicating comes with experience. That natural way of telling jokes out of her personal experience. In my view, it took Asil years and she polished her experience with Toastmasters well. She started with a powerful imagery when she was learning to drive the car, bam bam, in her home city. Then she moved into small town, Alabama, where she learned to drive. Then again, she changed the scenery, moved to Australia, and then back to her hometown. What a powerful eye contact. Vocal variety, this is what Asil you asked me to particularly look at. That was brilliant. Really engaging and sparkling eyes. I don't know what you do with your eyes, but they just really mesmerizing, makes us all laugh. I really enjoy the structure. At the same time, I would like to recommend just a few minor things that could make your speech even more engaging and more fun. That recommendation 1, I think if you use the power of hooks, speech hooks, for example, recalculation a few times during your speech, that would stick into our minds even more. For example, in your hometown, recalculation, moving to Alabama, small city, recalculation, then moving to Australia. Again, use that word more often. Those powerful hooks, they really stay with us. Another recommendation I would like to add, that would make your speech even more fun. I really like the joke about you spending your husband's money. Yes, use it again when you come back to your own home country and say it's a huge mall, so I'm going to even more spend my husband's money. Recommendation number 3, I would swap the message in your speech. Yes, it's humorous speech and you excel at that. At the same time, it's really, really powerful message to us all. We need all to recalculate sometimes and take our priorities seriously. Perhaps if you could finish with a stronger message, recalculate right in the end, that would make your speech even greater. Overall, brilliant vocal variety, structure, experience. We all had a joys of laugh. Few recommendation, and you can take it to the next level. And I'm passing this screen to evaluator number 5, Patricia Aureli.
Thank you, Andre. I'm here to evaluate Angela Heath's speech, Understanding Your Leadership Style. First of all, Angela, let me say that I thoroughly enjoyed your speech and that you accomplished the purpose of that particular speech. Now, I think everybody would have loved your opening because you wanted to share a secret with us. And as soon as I heard secret, I was with you. I wanted to know what is your secret. And I think your whole audience would have wanted to know that. And of course, your secret was that you hadn't really completed, or you found that it was long-winded trying to complete that questionnaire. And you know what? I'm right with you there because I too had the same problem when I did that particular speech. In the first half of your speech was really divided into 2 halves. So in the first half of your speech, we had your slides, and the pyramid style. And I love that you took that effort to analyze leadership for yourself. You decided that this is what I believe leadership is, and you set it out for us in those lovely pyramids. And I thought that worked really well. But my first recommendation would be on one of your slides, where on the left-hand side, you had quite a lot of further information. So we had this slide and you were talking, but if anybody was trying, if your audience was trying to read that extra information, they were really losing you and not really hearing what you were saying. So I would have just left that information out. The second half of your speech was thoroughly, I really enjoyed the second half. It was very, very more relaxed, I think. And you seemed to relax into the whole speech better when we got to that stage. And this was the part about leadership mindset. And you gave us a few points. And they were takeaways for us. And they were very, very good points. And I particularly loved your concluding message, which was revisit and revisit your leadership. And it's such a strong message. And it's so very, very true. And it's something that I will definitely take away with me tonight. Overall, this was a very, very good speech. You have very strong vocals. You have great pace. You have a wonderful gestures. They were just excellent. And I think from beginning to end, it was a well-crafted, well-structured, great opening, great ending, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you, Angela. And I think I hand back now to our Toastmaster, Marianne.
Thank you, my evaluator. Yes, you returned control to me. No problem, it happens. It is an evening of getting things done, and I believe we did get quite a number of things done. Our Toastmaster of the day, thank you. Our timer has posted the time for every evaluator. Our Toastmaster of the day started things off quite well as we went into the education program. She reminded us of the word of the day and the theme that we're having. And if we forgot, it was great to see to the background of our presiding officer as she welcomed us and made sure that we felt very comfortable. I always love that in our online presenters, that even the members who have been here for a while, we get to say our names and get to speak within the meeting, and we are creative with it. Toastmaster, we did forget a little about the timing, and our Toastmaster of the day, thank you so much for having our speakers being on target, and that was done. Our evaluators were very strong in encouraging our speakers. I think we're strong in 2 things, in really highlighting the areas of strength, no matter how different a speech is, and in also sharing with one another the recommendations that not only build them, but build us as an audience. And not just saying, I think you could do X, but explaining to us why X would be good. I did hear one time that the purpose of the speech was accomplished, and I believe this is something we need to remind ourselves as we evaluate. We're great speakers, we're great online presenters, but each speech has a purpose, and we need to remind the speakers whether or not this has been done. Another purpose of it is that we're here to support one another, and it's great to see speakers, see audience members online and hearing the great topics that exist. It is online presenters. You have certainly got things done, and we look forward to you listing some more things that we can get accomplished later. But before I close, we have 10 minutes to go, and I think our Toastmaster of the day wanted 2 minutes out of that 10 minutes. Toastmaster of the day, control is yours. You're muted. As she waits, thank you all for serving and for being here. If you're unable to return to us, Toastmaster.
Donna, do you want to ask for reports from the chat monitor and
so
forth?
All right, my apologies. I was looking for it on the agenda. I said, okay, thank you so much, Toastmaster Carr. Please share with us.
Oh, no, I didn't mean me, but grammarian, body language monitor, and chat monitor usually give a report at this time. I guess eye counter as well.
All right, my apologies. I was looking for it on the agenda, and I thought because it was a speech-a-thon. My apologies. Eye counter.
I'm not sure.
Yes.
I'd like to interject here. You are right, because we didn't have those roles for the sake of time.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's all right.
No problem. I need my glasses, so I could have overlooked it. I now return control to our presiding officer, Toastmaster Elaine.
Thank you very much, Donna. I am pleased to announce the winners for the evening, since I've been vote counter as well as presiding officer. And the best speech award goes to Asil Boisinova. And the best evaluator award for the evening goes to Andrei Smolenko. Congratulations to both of you. At this point in time, I'd like to make a couple additional announcements about events that are coming up. Next week, which is the 22nd of February, we have a special evening called Club Coaching Panel Discussion. There are a total of 6 panelists, I believe. Well, of the total number of panelists, 2 are guests. So it should be an interesting evening with some fresh blood in the mix here in Online Presenters. Then on the 27th of the month, we have a workshop with Fersi Gotwako. Fersi was one of our key presenters at the virtual Toastmaster conference that we played a large role in putting on in December. He was so popular that we decided to call on him again to do an authenticity and storytelling workshop. You should be receiving an email and a blog link for that tomorrow. And you will also find an RSVP. We're encouraging all guest visitors and or members to do RSVP to attend this meeting. You can also prepare in advance by watching his last workshop at VTMCon. It will be great preparation for you. And then lastly, on March the 22nd, excuse me, on March the 29th, we'll be having our International Prepared Speech Contest. The agenda for that would be forthcoming. We do need a contest chair and a chief judge for that. So please reach out to Christian Ramchurn, our VPE. This has been quite an amazing meeting. I will call out to Marianne Grady, our Toastmaster of the day, if she has any final words. It appears she was absent or may have lost her signal.
Yeah, I did. I lost connection. My apologies, everybody. I do have one final tip for you tonight, and that is a good one for a lot of us here, and it's to get enough sleep. You'd be surprised at how few people actually do get enough sleep every night. So according to the National Sleep Foundation, the average adult needs 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Did you hear that, Christian? Are you getting that much, everybody? So try and get a little more sleep. You'll be clearer and more focused during the day. It's been my pleasure to be the Toastmaster tonight. And we are just about ready to wrap it up. Do you want to do a table topic or two, or do you want to just move on and close out the meeting?
Marianne, I'd like to call on just a few guests to get a little feedback. We have about 4 more minutes, and then we can continue on with conversation and guest feedback in our after hours at the close of the meeting. So thank you, Marianne, for a tremendous job as our Speakathon Toastmaster of the day. I'd like each of our guests to unmute, and Kim Lemming, give us some feedback about your experience. I think this was your 3rd visit or so.
Actually 4th, and it's been really fun again. I did apply for membership. They said I will get an answer in 3 days. So I really hope to be a member very soon and be joining you in a more official capacity. But hey, this was really fun. And I have a kind of random question for you guys. I was looking, when I went to apply, I was looking at my previous Toastmaster experience from like 25 or 30 years ago. And does anybody here, I know you guys are involved with a lot of different members, different groups. Has anyone here been involved with the Founders District? And does anybody know, oh yes, okay. Does anybody know Victor Brodsky?
Yes, I know Victor, somewhat.
Yes, I've worked a lot with, and I've worked a lot with Victor, with the speakers club.
So he was a member of my original group, and I contacted another person I know from the original group. I don't remember the name of the group. I don't know any of that, but we would love to get back in touch with Victor. So I was Kim Litchfield back then. So if anybody can maybe let him know that we would love to get in touch with him, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Kim,
I know he's on Facebook if you want to find him there.
You know, he seemed to drop off after 2012 when I looked on Facebook.
I think I've got a LinkedIn connection with him too.
Oh, that'd be awesome, you guys. I'll private message you.
Kim, we can continue this after the recording stops, but thank you for your keen interest and just learning a little bit more about your past history. April, is April still with us? April, can you give some feedback on your witnessing and participating this evening?
Yes, I enjoyed the meeting. I enjoyed listening to the various speeches. I also enjoyed listening to the feedback. I was also able to take some of the feedback. So whenever I do join and give my first speech to the online presenters, hopefully I can implement some of that feedback that was provided. So I believe it was a great meeting.
Thank you so much. And we will have our Vice President of Membership, Lou Brown, follow up with you about your interest in the club. Thank you for being with us tonight. Razmi Mantia, can you share a little bit of feedback with us?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me once again. This club is very dynamic and always learn something every time I come here. And preparing for an evaluator for the contest in my own club. So I definitely took some key points today. And thank you again for having me.
Okay, is Jane still with us? Would you like to give some feedback?
Yes, I'm still here. Great to be here. First time to visit. Great energy and very international group. So as I said, I love to visit the Toastmaster around the world in person, but this is the great alternative. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Jane. And lastly, Purnima Hedge, are you still with us? So we'd love to hear a little feedback. She may have left. We are now at 9 p.m. Eastern, which signals our time to close. I'd like to thank Marianne Grady, our Toastmaster of the day, for a great job of leading us through. And we are actually ending on time. Thank you, everyone. We can stop the recording, and all who'd like to stay for conversation afterwards,